Good day, everyone, and our lecturer, Dr. Razi and Miss Kamal. We are from Group 11, and today we will be presenting on 12 tools of logic to solve real-world problems. So, before we begin, I will introduce myself. My name is Qin Zhaozhong, and I'm the leader. And the first four of us, Tang Wei, assistant leader, and Hua Hongjun and Chitan Reddy will represent our group to present this presentation. And these are the contents. So now let's get started with why logic is important in problem solving. So in this presentation, I will explain the 12 keys that improve decision makings, and we will also apply them to real world examples like smartphone use in schools, fair employee promotions, and reducing plastic waste.
So today I will be introducing the 12 key elements of critical thinking, and these elements help us to analyze information logically, to avoid mistakes, so that we can make a stronger argument. So now we'll go through each one and see how the shape between the decision making. First, we have premises. These are the basic statements of facts that supports an argument. So if the premises are weak or false, the whole arguments will fall apart. So example like someone says that all students hate studying. That is a weak premises because it's a generalizations that isn't always true. Second is inference. These are the logical connections that lead from one idea to another. So if you heard other people say that today is cloudy, so it might rain later. That's an inference, but not necessarily a stronger one. So good inference relies on facts and patterns, not only the assumptions. Third is the evidence. This includes that like facts, data, or research that supports an argument. So it's just an opinion. So assumptions are ideas that we take for granted without proof. Sometimes they're useful, but they can also lead to bias. So if we assume that older employees are better than the new leaders that come through, so we might overlook the younger employees. He might God have a greater leadership skills. The fifth one is implications. Implications are the possible result of an argument. So like we say that social media affects mental health. You must think about the broader implication. Does it cause stress, anxiety? So it's a different for teenager versus adults? No. So it's a implications. The last of this slide is consistency, meaning make sure that our argument is logical from the start to the finish. If someone say that honesty is the best policy, but then it lies to avoid troubles, that it is inconsistent. Strong arguments must align with their own logics. Now let's talk about relevance. So good arguments focus on information that directly relates to the topic. If we debating school uniforms, like bringing up the history of fashion is interesting but not relevant to the topics. Another one is clarity. Clarity is making sure that our ideas are easy to understand. We can't have a complicated words or uh, weakened statements for the specific communications. So like example, a policy is relatively effective in certain contexts. So we should say that the policy improves student performance by 20%. This makes us more clearer and easy to understand what we search from the research. The next one is validity. So validity is ensures that an arguments follow the logical rules. So like if the reasoning is flawed, the argument collapses. So example, the statement, if I like coffee, then he must like tea. Isn't valid because the two aren't necessarily connected. And then next one is soundness. Soundness is a combined validity and truth. So it's a valid argument that can still be false if its premises are untrue. The next one is counter arguments. So strong thinking consider like counter arguments. So we will opposite viewpoints that challenge their arguments. If I argue for longer school hours, I must acknowledge concerns about student stress and propose solutions. This is an example of the counter arguments. Next one is rationality. Rationality is about using reason over emotions. If we argue based on our anger, our fear, our own personal bias, so these decisions may be irrational. So rational thinking requires analyzing facts objectively. So these 12 elements help us to build logical, well-structured arguments so we can avoid weak reasoning. Thank you.
My name is Tang Wei. Today I will be presenting how to solve real-world problems with two case scenarios. The first one, example 1, smartphone in schools. A common debate in education is, should school ban smartphones? At first, many people will assume that banning phones will help students to focus, but critical thinking challenges us to examine both sides before deciding. Let's break this issue down. Here's the applied elements that can help us to understand better about this situation. Many people believe that phone will distract students uh, with their academic performance, which seems logical at the first place, and there's also research and studies shows that the correlation between excessive phone use and lower academic performance, but we need to ask ourselves, is banning them the only solution? On the other hand, some argue that phones are essential for emergency or even for educational purposes when used responsibly, and a fair approach will align with effective school policies such as no phone use during class but allowed during breaks. Instead of strict ban, schools should focus on responsible phone use and provide clear guidance for the students. By applying critical thinking, we can see that the best approach is to restricted phone use with clear rules rather than a complete ban. And here comes the second example, employee promotion. Imagine this: a manager wishes to promote an employee and has multiple candidates for the promotion. The manager is facing a dilemma. Which candidate should he promote? The company claims to follow merit-based values. One of the candidates is an older employee with great performance reviews, and the other is a younger employee without such much of the experience, but much more enthusiasm. So what should he do? To make a rational decision, the following elements must be applied. This ensures the decision is logical and fair. First, instead of judging a person's experience based on only their age, the decision maker should use performance data as proof on their skills and achievements. This will remove personal bias and focus on clear, measurable factors like work quality, leadership, and problem-solving abilities. This will also ensure consistency, as it follows merit-based values, meaning people are promoted for what they have achieved, not just how long they have worked. Additionally, it includes relevance by focusing on leadership skills and job performance rather than things that doesn't matter. A good leader should show strong decision making, adaptability, and teamwork, rather than being chosen for reason like personal preference or just judging by their age. By applying these principles, fairness, consistency, and relevance, the decision will become more clear and fair and logical, ensuring that promotions are given based on the real skills and contribution, not just assumptions.
So I'll be presenting on example 3, reducing plastic waste. So I'll move on to the next slide. So in example 3, reducing plastic waste, we need to look into the problem on how to cut plastic use. So we'll be using the 12 elements of logic to combat this problem and provide a meaningful solution. So I'll be moving on to the next slide. So for reducing plastic waste, we need to look into some of the applied elements of logic which we learned in chapter 2. First is implication. So we need to show the public on how dangerous plastic can be. As we all know that plastic is a very dangerous substance as it causes global warming and climate change along with also affecting marine life. I'll tell you how it affects marine life. So basically, as plastic cannot be degraded into the soil. So plastics take a lot of time to get degraded into the soil and become nutrients for the soil. This makes it harder for us to store plastic in such a manner that it won't provide a landfill waste. So some plastics do end up in the ocean, in which some fishes may swallow it, and then this causes the fish to die, and this also affects the whole ecosystem, as our life is complete ecosystem. Like, let's say fishes eat smaller substances, and at the same time fishes get eaten by other substances, so this whole ecosystem can collapse if fishes don't exist. So we need to make a way that we do not affect the environment, as if we affect the environment, the whole earth is going to face these consequences. Second, counter arguments. I've been looking into why companies use plastic. I've come to this conclusion that plastics are very cheap for company, as I've looked into a lot of articles saying that companies are incentivized to use plastic as there's no cost effective manner for them to use other biodegradable substances. So yeah, companies find it cheaper, they want to save money. It's a business, right? Business's main objective is profit. So they always look into profit. They don't care about the environment, they only look into profits. So we need an inferences. Like, for example, we need a tax on plastic usage so that company will be incentivized to use a different solution. As if we tax plastic more, I think logically company will look into their account statement and think about it. Is using plastic really beneficial for them? So if they come in the conclusion that it's too expensive to maintain plastic, they'll try to come with alternatives which will be good for the environment. Validity first. If the premise taxes reduced waste come true, like taxes reduce plastic waste come true, then the conclusion will hold that our solution, that if we increase the taxes on plastic usage, will reduce plastic. There are other solutions as well. Education. If we educate the public and if we try to get a full public support on this, I believe the government and the companies can come to a proper solution on how to conserve our environment and how to reduce plastic waste. And then incentives. If government can really give some incentives to the companies to help them reduce plastic waste and support any biodegradable substances to be used instead of plastic, this can help save our environment and can also help the government support companies in a way. And we can also use policies to support these companies, as governments really need to think of a proper manner and a proper system where they can help companies and help consumers reduce plastic waste. So I'll move forward to the next slide. So yeah, why these tools matter. I'll be going to the next slide to explain this. As you have seen on why these logical tools are important, in these three examples, you have seen us how we combated the problem by first understanding the problem, and then we looked into the counter arguments, and then we came with a proper solution. So with these 12 elements of logic, we can actually come up with proper solutions for every problem we face. And this can help you in the future on how to think like a proper individual and how to answer questions in a proper manner. So moving forward, I'll be going to the conclusion. I'll be moving on to the next slide, which is basically the conclusion and action steps after learning about this presentation. So yeah. So the takeaway from this presentation is on how to use these 12 tools of logic to explore problems and to test your solutions and to communicate this clearly in your future solutions. And the call to action for you guys is ask yourself before answering the question fully. Look at your solution, ask if your premises are clear or is your evidence sounding properly for the individual to understand your solution. Let's move forward to the next slide. Basically, this is the end to our presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and thank you.